Lap weaving, in one form or another, has been around for centuries. Idle sailors aboard Yankee schooners used crudely made looms of wood and nails, netting twine and sail-making thread to make gifts for their families. Lap weaving, or rake weaving as it was then called, was found in the hills of Appalachia. These looms were made of wood and came in different sizes and shapes. Here, folks not only made decorative pads and doilies, but wove them together to make larger items like afghans, blankets, and clothing. Love and Money Crafts has recreated this craft with high-quality plastic looms at a price available to everyone, guaranteed against breakage and available in many shapes and sizes. You'll enjoy our easy-to-follow photo instructions with 13 different weave patterns, and there's over 30 projects available. Lap weaving is decorative, practical, whimsical, wearable, gifty, versatile. Lap weaving is for table settings, pillows, afghans, and baby blankets. We will demonstrate that lap weaving is an easy-to-learn craft for all ages that quickly produces finished products that have a woven appearance without actually weaving. An experienced crafter can soon combine their lap weaving skills with other crafts like crochet or knitting to create new projects. You can also use the looms for knitting or traditional weaving. Lap weaving is as easy as 1, 2, 3. It is one of the easiest crafts you'll ever do. All of the finished projects you see here have used 3 basic steps. Step 1, lacing. Step 2, tying. Step 3, finishing. Before we start our lap weaving demonstration, let's review the materials you'll need. First, one of our looms. Select either the hexagon or the country square looms. And again, all of our looms are guaranteed against breakage. Second, you will need the tying shuttle, yarn needle, and instruction booklet included in each kit. You will also need a pair of scissors. Finally, you will need yarn. Our project booklets will recommend the type and quantity of yarn that you will need for each project. These are only recommendations. Almost anything can be used as long as it comes in a continuous strand. Some examples are yarn, macrame, crochet cotton, or string. Now let's begin with step number 1, or the lacing step. First, we will demonstrate lacing on the hexagon-shaped loom. All sizes of the hexagon looms are laced exactly the same way. Each loom is marked with a start position. Tie the yarn around the peg at the start position. Once the yarn is anchored, we are ready to start lacing. Lace the yarn around the corner peg to point A. Lace the yarn around the peg at this position, and moving parallel to the start side of the loom, lace the yarn around the peg directly opposite. And in a figure-8 pattern, return to the peg at point A. Move to the next peg and continue lacing in figure-8s around each set of opposing pegs until you reach point B. As you lace, remember, lace the yarn just tight enough to keep it from sagging. If you lace it too tight, the loom may bow and the yarn may slip off the pegs. At point B, lace the yarn around the corner peg to the first peg and follow the procedure used in the first step, lacing in a figure-8 pattern parallel to the B side. Continue lacing until you reach point C. Proceed around the corner to the next peg and continue lacing until you have reached the start position. You have now completed one layer. Different projects will require a different number of layers, depending on the desired thickness. Generally, you will use about 4 layers. When you have completed the desired number of layers, you have finished the lacing step. Before moving on to step number 2, or the tying step, we would like to show you how to lace the square and rectangle looms. Both are laced identically and both are similar to the hexagon loom. Lace the yarn around the first peg past the start corner. Now, lace the yarn around the opposite peg next to corner C, and using a figure 8 pattern, continue lacing around each set of pegs until you have reached point A. At point A, go around the corner to the next peg and lace until you've reached point B. Continue lacing in this manner to and around point C until you have reached the starting point. You have now completed one cycle or turn around the square loom. Note that this cycle has given you 2 layers of lacing. The number of layers you will need will be determined by the thickness desired. Let's continue on to step 2, or the tying step. You will need the shuttle for tying. Take the tying yarn, which can be of a contrasting color, and wind it onto the shuttle until you have a thickness of about 1/2 inch. You will probably have to splice more yarn to completely tie your pad. To splice, simply tie the yarn from a newly wound shuttle to the end of the tying yarn with a square knot and trim the ends of the yarn at the knot. The basic tying instructions are virtually the same for all shapes and sizes of our looms. All intersections of yarn must be tied in order to hold the pad together. The manner in which you tie these intersections will help determine the various weave patterns. In our instructional booklet, you'll see that the holes are numbered around an intersection. These numbers are there as a guide to help you get started. Remember, the sequence is unimportant as long as you use opposing holes and loop the yarn over the shuttle to make a tie. Thread the shuttle through the triangular holes number 1 and number 2 located at the corner nearest the start position. Tie the bottom end of the tying yarn snugly. Thread the shuttle with the tying yarn down through hole number 3 and up through hole number 4, being sure to pull the yarn through the loop and pull snug. Next, thread the shuttle down through hole number 5 and up through hole number 6 through the loop and pull snug. The first intersection has been tied, and you are now ready to move on to the second intersection. Thread the shuttle down through hole number 9 and up through number 5, then down through hole number 10 and up through hole number 3. Next, thread the shuttle down through hole number 8 and up through number 7. Remember to pull the shuttle with the yarn through the loop, pull it snug, and make the tie. The second intersection is now tied. Notice that only opposing holes are used when tying the intersections. Continue tying the intersections in a clockwise manner around the loom until you've reached the center of the pad. The pad you are tying is upside down and you are tying the bottom side. Turn the pad over and you can see the tying pattern. When you have finished tying the intersection and have reached the center, you are finished with step number 2 on the hexagon loom. Tying on the square loom is just as easy. As with the hexagon loom, all the intersections must be tied. Here are the basic lacing and tying patterns for the hexagon, square, and rectangle looms. By varying the lacing and tying patterns, you can create various weave patterns. The easy-to-read instructional booklets that comes with each lap weaving set shows you how to make 7 different square patterns and 5 different hexagon patterns. Let's continue on to step 3, or the finishing step. For finishing your lap weaving project, you can use a pair of scissors, a wire bristle pet brush, or your yarn needle. You have 5 options for finishing a single pad. The first option is the easiest. Remove the pad from the loom and leave all the loops uncut. The second option gives a slightly more tailored and neater look. After taking the pad off the loom, cut only the long loops and trim to the length of the shorter loops. A different look can be achieved by cutting all the loops and trimming to an even length. For a plusher look, cut all the loops as in the previous step. And with a brush, a wire bristle pet brush is best. Fray out the edges. The fifth option is the most complex, but it's worth it because the neatest finish is achieved. This step is necessary in order to add pads together to make larger projects. First, push the pad halfway up the pegs. Using the yarn needle, lace the yarn behind the loops on each peg. And through the loop formed by the binding yarn, and make a knot. Make 2 knots on each peg, and continue binding all the pegs around the loom and tie off at the start position. This demonstrates the 5 options for finishing a project that requires only 1 pad, like placemats, doilies, hot pads, and coasters. You can combine pads together with the invisible seam to make larger projects like baby blankets, wreaths, purses, and many others. We'd like to show you how to use the invisible seam. Once you have completed the pads for your project, finish them off with the binding procedure shown in option number 5 of the finishing instructions. Align the pads to be joined together wrong side out. Now insert the threaded yarn needle through the 2 opposing knots formed by the binding and the binding stitch. Make a knot by leaving a loop. Take the threaded needle through the loop twice and pull taut. Repeat these steps until you have completed a seam. For larger projects requiring a stronger seam, we recommend the placement of an additional joining knot halfway between these points. We hope that you found this presentation of the 3 basic lap weaving steps helpful and interesting. Lap weaving is quick, easy, and so versatile. Your project possibilities are virtually limitless. In addition, the looms can be used over and over again. All of our looms are guaranteed against breakage. Lap weaving is one of the best investments in crafts today. Remember, all lap weaving kits come with loom, shuttle, needle, project book, and the helpful instructional booklet. All you need to add is the weaving material in a color of your choice. Your lap weaving choices may include the Hexagon Complete Set. This is our best seller with hexagon-shaped looms that make 4 different size pads from coasters to large placemats. The Country Square Set, a very popular set. We hope you have enjoyed this step back into the past with us for this unique and enjoyable craft, a craft that has become so welcome in this modern world.